Hi, my name is Jesse Thuy, and my CSS lesson is Argumentation and Refutation. The goal of this lesson is to teach the tools and methods to approach argumentation and refutation, and in doing so, give a structure and framework to having an academic discussion to approaching problems. In order to teach these skills, I first teach how to approach building a case for your own argument. In order to propose an argument, you have to have an idea of exactly what you're supporting. So the first thing is a plan. A plan or an idea is what you want to implement to try to solve a problem or to try to propose a solution to something in the world or in your company or your classroom. It's whatever sphere that you're in that you choose to propose a new policy or a policy change. So it's simply your own idea. The second point is you have to present problems. These are just the problems that you say that your plan are going to fix. So you highlight problems with the current system that you say, these are things that I think I can fix with my idea. By highlighting those, you make sure that your plan is important enough to actually have problems that need to be solved. The third thing is you have to show that how your plan is going to solve this. So by presenting evidence or empirics or just explaining how your idea can best solve those problems, you prove that your plan is a good idea. So by using this framework and this structure, we can begin to have a concise but approach to arguing for a problem that everyone can agree upon and use for a framework for further discussion. But that brings us to the point of refutation. How would you argue against such a case? How would you begin to approaching asking the right questions or looking at why this might not be a good idea or why there might be better ideas? So in my lesson, I try to have the kids think of great questions or think critically on how and why such an idea or plan might not be the best solution or might not be a good idea at all. If we look back to the case structure, you can attack certain things individually, such as the problems. One thing you could say is, I don't think this is a problem, or the problems you highlighted aren't as important as you originally said that they were, or that there are other problems that are bigger issues. By using these, you can try to lower the amount of importance of the case or the idea that the other person presented, and in turn present something else that might be more important. Secondly, you could attack the case's ability to solve. You could say that I don't think that although I agree that these problems are big problems, I don't think that you will be able to solve them with your idea. By doing this and following the framework, you can have a way of discussing this on a way that both sides can agree on and what is being discussed. And finally, you can take a more nuanced approach. You can look at the plan and say, although I agree that these problems are problems and that you might be able to solve them, there are many different plans that could approach this problem in different ways, and we should have a very detailed discussion about them. For example, if we were to look at the topic of STEM education, there are lots of different ways we could solve this, each of these with different plans or different ideas to solve the same problems, but would have different methodologies of solving them. For example, one approach would be to spend billions of dollars each year on more education and technology related to STEM in high schools. Another could be required that each student have more classes in middle school and high school in STEM in order to graduate. Another might be that schools have to just have higher standardized tests in STEM fields in order to get more money from states and the federal government. All of these are different approaches to the problem, or different plans and different ideas, but are trying to solve the same thing. But by having these different plans, you can have a very detailed and organized discussion over which of these ideas are better, or which of these ideas is the best way to solve these problems. So although I would go over a few solutions in my class with the students, such as STEM education, or whether we should have more technology in schools, the framework can be applied to anything. As I alluded to before, it works really well with governmental policy. By proposing simply a change in government policy, whether it's a tax plan or a bill that helps mitigate the effects of climate change, all of these have very specific changes in the world and are all attempts to try to solve a problem. But also these can be applied to other things, such as company policy. If a company is looking to change its policy relating to how it deals with its customers or how it deals with its own employees, all of these have repercussions that can be looked at in the same framework by looking at what are the problems they're trying to solve, how does their idea plan to solve it, but also what are the possible disadvantages to doing that plan and implementing that idea. So I hope that the students in my classes take away many important lessons, that they can use this framework for having discussions about changes or ideas in the future, by solving the world's problems or even the problems in their own classroom, that they can use this as a way to discuss and have a productive discussion that doesn't simply lead into arguing.